A new report from Politico claims White House staffers are, quote, terrified of what could be on Omarosa's next tape. The former Trump insider says she has recordings of him using the N-word. But these allegations of racism are not the first time we've heard this against this president.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders says it was. Said we didn't hear anything until the campaign.
So we're going to jog the memories of those 378 staffers who work in this White House. Let's start with a video from 1989. This is Donald Trump on NBC.
A well-educated black has a tremendous advantage over a well-educated white in terms of the job market. And I think sometimes a black may think that they don't really have the advantage or this or that, but in actuality, today, currently, it's a great, I've said on occasion, even about myself, if I were starting off today, I would love to be a well-educated black because I really believe they do have an actual advantage today.
Okay, and there's much more. In the 1970s, the Justice Department claimed that Trump's real estate company tried to avoid renting apartments to African Americans. Several of Trump's former casino workers have claimed he gave preferential treatment to white workers. In 1989, Trump urged the death penalty for 5 black and Latino teenagers known as the Central Park Five. He said they were guilty of raping a white woman even 10 years after DNA evidence exonerated them. 23 years later, Trump claimed that then-President Barack Obama was not born in the United States. And in 2015, Trump kicked off his campaign with this.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people.
Some fine people. It hasn't stopped, by the way. In June 2017, the New York Times reported Trump said 15,000 immigrants from Haiti, quote, all have AIDS, and over 40,000 Nigerians would never, quote, go back to their huts. The White House pushed back on those claims. Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.